Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. So today we're going to look at the Aim-120 AMRAAM as fired from the Hornet. Now we've already done a video on the radar in the Hornet for locking targets at beyond visual range, and we've already done a video showing using medium range radar guided missiles to shoot targets down at various ranges, so I don't need to cover all that again. Instead we're just really going to focus on the differences between the Aim-120 AMRAAM and other missiles like the Aim-7 Sparrow. So first of all, just to note that in the Hornet we can carry 10 AMRAAMs on various pylons. That's quite a lot. That's a lot of weight and a lot of drag you're going to carry around, so I rarely recommend carrying 10, but that is possible. Next, they come in two flavours, the Aim-120B and the Aim-120C for the Hornet. The Aim-120C, which is what we've got here, has the very small fins. It has its fins clipped. That gives it extra range, 1 or 2 miles more max range than the Aim-120B, which has the bigger fins. The benefit of the Aim-120B is with the bigger fins it has a bit more manoeuvrability, so it's whether you want an extra bit of range or an extra bit of manoeuvrability. I believe the reason they did the wing clip for the C version is to fit into the F-22 Raptor bomb bay, or weapons bay, sorry. Let's quickly talk about the range of the Aim-120. Now the range is a very difficult thing to talk about because it's completely dependent on the variables in play, like the altitude of our aircraft, the altitude of hostile aircraft, the vector of both aircrafts, the speed of both aircrafts and whatnot. What we found is that on a head-on attack with two fast-moving jets at absolute maximum height of 40,000 feet or above, you can loft an AMRAAM shot, an Aim-120C shot, about 60 miles is the most we've managed to get. At average BVR fighting altitude of about 15,000 feet, generally, assuming that it's a head-on with another fighter, you can get about 20 miles out of them. And on the deck, on a head-on fight, a maximum of about 10 miles. So the difference between these AMRAAMs and missiles like the Aim-7 Sparrow is that the Aim-7 Sparrow, we call that a Fox-1. That's a semi-active radar homing missile. We fire that missile and it does not have its own radar on board that missile. Instead, it uses guidance from the mothership Hornet to track the target all the way until it hits the target, basically. This means that the mothership Hornet has to maintain a radar lock on the hostile until the impact. The Aim-120C is a Fox-3 type missile. This means that it's got its own onboard radar. When you fire a Fox-3 like an AMRAAM, it initially uses the mothership Hornet's radar to track towards the target. Then at a certain pre-programmed point, it severs the tie with the mothership Hornet radar and turns on its own radar. At this point it's called going pitbull. It then uses its own radar to guide towards the hostile. Now there are advantages and disadvantages. I've made a couple of videos about this because it is quite an important point. So the Aim-7, the Fox-1, it has basically a recall option. So if we fire at a target and for some reason we want to cancel that missile, maybe we've had an IFF problem and at the last minute we've realised that the hostile is actually a friendly or something like that, then we can cancel that missile by essentially just breaking radar lock with that hostile, with that target, and that will cancel the missile. With the Aim-120C, as soon as our missile has gone pitbull and it's self-guiding, it cannot be cancelled, because we no longer have any control over that missile. So that's something to bear in mind. Also, there can be discrepancy. That critical point where the missile goes pitbull, where it cuts contact with the mothership radar and starts using its own radar, there can be a discrepancy there when it can actually lose track of the target that it's been chasing from the mothership radar and accidentally lock onto another target that is nearby. I've fired Fox-3s into combat before when I've had friends near the target that I'm shooting at, and when my Fox-3 has gone pitbull, it's decided to chase our friend instead of the hostile. I believe that's why it's called going pitbull, because it'll just go for essentially the nearest thing it sees in its cone of radar. Because it's got its own radar and avionics, it's a much more expensive missile, so I imagine real-life fighter planes are a bit more hesitant to use them. But we haven't talked about the major advantage of the Fox 3 is that once it's gone pitbull and it's no longer reliant on the mothership Hornet can then turn around and flee and get safe. So it has a massive advantage over the Fox 1 for that reason. Right, back in the cockpit, and let's get on with it. We're going to go and find a target that's in front of us and shoot it. So we're going to turn our radar on. It's already on. We're going to increase the range. There, we have a target there. We're going to select our AMRAAM. There we go. We're going to turn our master arm on. We're going to turn air-to-air on. Whoops. Turn air-to-air on. We're going to move our TDC. We're just going to breeze over this because, like I said, we've done it all before in other tutorials. We've locked the target. We've got the usual symbology there. We are going to... Whoops, I just realised I've accidentally selected Sidewinders. A bit stupid of me. Let's try that again. There we go. Just to point out, we've got some options here. We can step through which side of the AMRAAMs we want to fire. If I want to fire from that side or that side. We've got here the size, I believe that's the size of the target. Well, we are fighting a tiny little yak today. I don't know why, it's just the first plane I could find. So the size of the target is going to be small. RCS, I haven't read through the manual for this, but I'm almost certain that's going to be the radar cross-section of the target, which is going to be small. Obviously, if it's a big aircraft, you'll have a big radar cross-section. S mode, auto or manual. I couldn't find any decent information about that. It's something about how the missile records its path in terms of data. Correct me if I'm wrong there, or please let me know if anyone knows what that does. Let's carry on. So all of our usual symbology, it's all the same from our Aim-7 Sparrow that we looked at previously. We've got our range there. We've got our combined velocity there. We've got our range aero there. We've got our range max there. We've got our range no escape there. I can't see our range min. What that usually means is that our range minimum is directly under either that cursor or that cursor there. And at some point it will separate. That's what usually happens. Obviously our target there, our target selection box there, our ranging queue here. We see we've just got within range aero. So at this point it's just all pretty much the same as the Aim-7, so let's continue on until we get some difference. Our yak is very helpfully just flying straight towards us, which is very good sporting of him. Okay, now we've just got within range. It's giving us our shoot cue. We've got our steering dot with on our aiming circle, so we've got our shoot cue. We're good to fire. We're at 12.2 miles. Now our first difference is that we've got this marker here. This is telling us, I don't actually know what ACT stands for, it doesn't really matter. It's telling us that there are that many seconds that if we fired our Fox 3 AMRAAM now, that in 7 seconds time our missile would go pitbull, it would sever the contact with our mothership here, and it would turn on its own radar and guide to the target. So we're going to fire our missile now. I should just say very quickly, as I like to show the controls that I use, select AMRAAM is that, and I fire the weapon with that. So let's fire. Kaboomy. So we're going to count down here until the missile goes pitbull. 4, 3, 2, 1... 0, and we've now gone pitbull. So we no longer are guiding the missile with our own mothership radar. It's now turned on its own own radar. It's found the target, and it's now got 14 seconds of its pitbull travel until it strikes the target. This is typically very inaccurate if the target dodges. Our yak is not a combat plane, so he almost certainly won't dodge. So that missile should be accurate now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So even now it's a little inaccurate. Are we going to get him? There, we got him. Okay. So there we go. Out of interest, you can see our no escape marker has now separated from our max range marker. That's all I've really got to say on that. Pretty awesome missiles. Now, I guess the main thing that I didn't show is that as soon as that missile had gone pitbull, I could have basically turned away immediately like so, and that missile would have carried on and hit the target. In fact, why don't we run that scenario again, just showing that I can indeed turn away and the missile will self-guide. Okay, we've got a little bit higher this time, so we've got a bit more range that we can shoot at. We're going to fire now with 8 seconds until pitbull. The missile's fired. We're going to wait until we've counted down and the missile's gone pitbull, and then we're going to turn around. Okay, she's self-guiding. Let's turn away. Right, and let's track that missile. So it's still going, still going. Lofting nicely. And mud thumper. Right, so that shows you, and because of that, he's had no chance to shoot back, even though it was a yak. So that shows the advantage of using the Fox 3 over the Fox 1 type missiles. I can't think of anything else to say to that. I am going to do a proper series about missile fighting at some point as soon as I finish my other tutorials, and you can expect some much more in-depth information at that point. Otherwise, I hope that helps, and I'll see you later.